Hi guys, Coach Heather here from Kincardine Fit Body Bootcamp. It is Monday. It's a little early on Monday for me to be doing this, but I do have a busy day today and I didn't want to miss out on this, so we're doing a little early today. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about overeating. I've got some really good feedback from different people online or campers in the gym here about things that they want to talk about, and I often try and hit that one, those suggestions. But today, this one kind of came from myself because yesterday I had a really busy day, and then by the time I got around to dinner, I really ate more than I needed to and suffered the consequences. I was not feeling very good last night. So I thought it's a great time, especially heading into holidays, Christmas parties, get-togethers, things like that, to talk about overeating, when it happens on a regular basis, what things we need to be concerned about, some strategies to maybe combat overeating in general. So that is what we're going to be talking about today, overeating. So as every overeater knows, you do suffer consequences for overindulging in things. It may be physically that you're uncomfortable, bloated, you may feel sick to your stomach even. Also psychologically, you may feel regret, you may feel guilty, you may be angry at yourself, you may just be angry in general. So lots of different things happen when we do overindulge and overeat. Also, aside from the obvious, extra calories can lead to weight fluctuations, extra body fat, stalled performances, but also other things that you may not be so aware of, such as joint inflammation. Meat sweats, I know, are common for some people that eat a lot of meat that don't typically, and just shortness of breath as you're, digesting that food baby that is now in your belly. So lots of different things can occur when we are overeating. So what are some of the things that we can do to combat overeating and work our way around it? One thing we can do is aim for good enough and not always perfect. Sometimes, people want to be so strict with their meal plan, so strict with their diet, their nutrition program, that it's a one or the other. There's no gray area. It's either on or it's not. Maybe they go out for dinner and it's not exactly what they have on their plan. They can't portion it. They can't measure it. They can't put everything exactly that they want together. So they just throw all of their rules out the window and end up eating, a burger and fries rather than something that is close to what they would want to have, but not exactly perfect. So just think about, is this reasonable? Maybe not perfect, but is it good enough? And then you'll be a lot easier on yourself with some of the choices that you make. So always aim for good enough throughout the week and the weekend. Start to consider your health and your fitness goals, what you're in the mood for, and if you're happy with the progress that you're seeing with what's currently happening with that. Making choices throughout the week that maybe aren't perfect may set you up for a better weekend in terms of overeating. And in a second, we'll talk a little bit more about cheat days and whatnot. Another thing you can do is sort of let go of your food rules. So when I'm talking about rules are things that tell you what you can and can't eat, when you can and can't eat, how you can eat and can't eat. So preparation methods, things like that. So deep fried versus steaming, things like that. And how much you can or can't have. So all of these rules are going to regulate what you're eating and how you're eating. So maybe we need to let go of a few of those so that when we hit the weekend, we're not suffering from overeating. So what happens when we have too many rules with eating, and sometimes with life in general, is that when we slip, when we deter from those goals, we get the F it effect, right? I can't do it. F it. The rest of the day is a write-off. The rest of the weekend is a write-off because you can't adhere to those goals that are so stringent that you're keeping for yourself. So, for example, you may be carb-free. So, no croutons on your salad, no bread on a sandwich kind of thing, no hash browns with your omelet. And then you go out and your friends are having pizza and beer. And you're really good at first, don't touch it. And then all of a sudden you have a piece. And that's normal. But then because you're so stringent with those rules, it now becomes, well, I broke the rule, might as well just go crazy. And then you're overindulging rather than just saying, okay, normally I go carb free, you know, I'm having fun, I'm going to have 2 pieces of pizza or whatever it is, a pizza and a beer, whatever it is. But just being loose with those rules and maybe not having so many of them, having that gray area may help prevent overeating and slipping from those rules if they are too stringent. And let hunger be your guide with that. You know, when it's, you can only eat this at this time. Some days I'm really hungry, some days I'm not at all, and I just try and listen to my body. But if you have a program or a diet where, you know, you have to eat this at this time, you may find yourself overeating at certain times and undereating at other times. So it's always good to listen to your body, eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full. So taking the time to eat slowly, making sure you're hydrated, because most of the time when our body thinks that we're hungry, we're actually thirsty. So having some water and then checking to see, you know, is that what my body wanted or am I still hungry? And then just eating to the point that you're satiated and satisfied rather than until the plate is empty or until you've consumed exactly what your rule tells you need to consume. So we talked about gray areas, being a little bit more flexible, and you may want to consider giving up on cheat days. Now, I say this loosely, take it with a grain of salt. For some people, you know, 6 days a week, fantastic. They're on par, they need that cheat day. It works for them and they're happy with their progress. If you are one of these people, stick to it. Everything in general, if you're happy with your progress, if you're happy with the results that you're getting, stay with your program. I'm just giving you guys these ideas if you're setting yourself up to finish the week in something that ends in overeating or overindulging. So these are just some ideas that may work for some of you, doesn't necessarily need to happen. But something to consider is giving up on the cheat day. Because Monday to Saturday, typically people are very faithful to their diet, very faithful to their nutrition program. And then on Sunday, it's cheat day. You wake up, you go hog wild, you go crazy through the fridge, consuming everything you think you've been, you know, starving yourself from, depriving yourself from for the week, and it just goes and goes and goes. You know, Sunday evening comes in and you really feel the need to eat and drink whatever you want, because tomorrow you are back to reality, you're back to that diet, back to that game plan, you know, back to that compliance basically. So being a little bit more free with that idea of a cheat day, spreading it out throughout the week so that, you know, when you get to Sunday or Saturday or whenever your typical cheat day would be, that you're not going crazy and overindulging. Or just, you know, make it a weekend, but a meal here or a meal there rather than the whole day. Because then you do set yourself up, you know, to overeat and overindulge on one day. And that will have long-term consequences for the rest of the week as well. When you think about it too, it develops this sense of anxiety and scarcity because you can only have these foods on your cheat day. Scarcity, it makes us feel anxious, needy, greedy, and that shows in our eating habits when we have these cheat days if they're not working for you again. So think of abundance rather than scarcity. So all of this food, you know, don't hoard it, don't fear it, just spread it out, and you can make it, you know, a meal here, a meal there, rather than just putting it all on one day. Another thing you can do is really be mindful of the choices that you're making and take more control of it yourself, rather than, you know, following these plans, these guidelines, even if you set them out yourself. Be able to stand up and say, you know what, I don't feel like it today, I'm going to have this instead of this, or just being more mindful that you're choosing what you're putting into your mouth. So, for example, you want to have a huge bowl of ice cream. Okay, that's fine. But just know that you're choosing to do that. If you have that huge bowl of ice cream and you know that at the end of it you're going to feel nauseous, your stomach's going to be upset, you're going to feel anxious, maybe a little guilty, and you're okay with it, that's fine. But you have made the decision to go ahead with it. So really owning the decisions that you're making in terms of what you're eating and your behaviors associated with it. Another one too is to stop rationalizing things. It's like that play off, that either or, I'll give you this if you give me this kind of thing. You know, I am not going to have dinner, or I'm not going to have dessert tonight, but I'm going to have dessert. You know, I'm going to have a whatever. Where are my words? I'm not going to have dessert tonight, but then tomorrow night I can have as much as I want. So it's that playoff. You can't really trade one for the other. It's not really how it works out. And then giving yourself those excuses to rationalize your eating choices. So I was busy, I had nothing going on, I was traveling, I had to work, I had family, social meals, things like that, especially this time of year. A lot of work functions, a lot of family functions coming up. So stop rationalizing why you're eating crap, basically. It's okay, everything in moderation. I'm not saying don't, but you can't just let yourself off the hook all the time with the excuse of, well, it only happens once a year, December is a big month, and there are parties. There's already been Christmas parties, staff parties going on, Christmas parades, sweets everywhere. So you can't just let things slide and say, oh, it happens, it's that time of year, it's the holidays. You have to keep yourself accountable, and you have to stop rationalizing poor decisions. So balancing things out, we talked about moderation, just keeping that in perspective. Don't be a powerless victim of circumstance. There are lots of things you can do to keep control. You can eat ahead of time, you can bring your own snacks, you can talk to the people that are hosting and just let them know, you know, these are my goals, these are my plans. Again, moderation, right? You don't have to stay to everything 100%, but you also don't have to go completely off the wagon just because of the circumstances that you're in. There's always things we can do to control it, so we can take some steps. In general, there's no perfect time, right? You don't have to wait till tomorrow. You don't have to wait until January. You don't have to wait till Monday. Life is always a little crazy. So you can always just get to it. You don't need to wait for something to actually happen to cue a change. There is no perfect time. So, it's nice to look at your behaviors on the weekend. If you're a Monday to Friday kind of person that does the meal prep, that does the meal plan, and then your weekends just kind of slide off the wagon, stop and have a look at what's going on and why you're overeating. So the things we talked about, aiming for good, not necessarily perfect, letting go of those food rules, giving up on your cheat days or being a little bit more flexible with them, owning up to your choices, and stop with the rationalizations. One thing I do want to talk about really quickly is if you feel the urgency or compulsion when you overeat, you may want to consider talking to a trained professional or a doctor, because it may not be binge eating yet, but it may be something that leads to binge eating. Just something to think about too, and keeping that clean slate mindset. Okay, yes, like yesterday, I ate a lot yesterday. I had a lot going on, a little bit of stress. Physically, I was in here doing some Zumba, then I went to the track and went for a run. So my body needed calories regardless. But I felt like crap after because it was too much at the time. But does that bother me today? No, because today's another day. Get back to it, and it's done. There's nothing I can do to change it now. But things like this, if they happen regularly, then we sit down and we look, okay, why is it? Why do I feel that I need to do this? What are the circumstances around it? Am I stressed out on a regular basis? What are those cues that are leading me to overeat on a regular basis? So just some helpful hints, guys, leading into the holiday season, how to prevent overeating, thinking about that mindset, and being flexible with yourself. Yes, you're going to have a lot of temptation, a lot of things around you, so just prioritize. You know, there's a huge tray of sweets. Okay, what are the two that I want to have? Or is there somebody that, like, hey, I'm going to have half a piece of this. Do you want to share it with me? Things like that, all kinds of things. And chances are you're not the only one at that social event, at that gathering, that is trying to be a little bit more mindful of avoiding too many calories over the Christmas holiday. So just relax, have fun, cut yourself a little bit of slack, and keep some things in mind. I'm here as always if you guys need more advice or more hints. Other than that, have a great week, and I'll see you guys next Monday. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.